Hi, I'm Dr. Molly with Your Goals Physical Therapy. In this video, I want to go over the question that I got during an evaluation, which was, why does my foot hurt when I walk and when I stand? And this question was posed to me by a young woman who had gone to the doctor several months ago and then because of the news that she got during that doctor's visit, hadn't really wanted to go and do anything else. So she's been suffering from this ankle pain for 6 months, close to a year, by the time she made it to me. So in this video, I'm gonna go over her story, like what she told me when she came in and like how she ended up getting into my clinic, go over ankle anatomy with you, a brief overview, and then what is happening with her now, like how is she doing? So this young lady told me that like 6 months, maybe 8 months, she wasn't really specific, she started getting like this little nagging pain in the back of her heel. She didn't really think too much of it because at the end of the day, it would be a little annoyed, but she sat, she rested, everything was fine. Fast forward a few weeks, that is progressively getting worse. Now she's having to alter the shoes that she wears. She has to alter how she does her workouts, which was very disappointing because she was even like, I stopped running and I stopped going to the aerobics classes I liked and I tried the bike and it still hurt my ankle. So she's like, so there went my workouts. And that was fine because, you know, that's one less thing on my plate. But now I'm not able to do laundry, dishes, I can't stand to cook, driving for long periods of time anytime I go to stand up. So she was like, sure, I gave up working out, which was like more of a luxury, so to speak, but now it's affecting everything else. So what is going on? And I asked her, I said, did you go to the regular doctor? Did you go to see your primary care for this? And she says, yes, and they did an x-ray, but when they suggested that if it didn't get better, I would need to go to the orthopedic surgeon or somebody else, she was like, I freaked out because I didn't think what I had needed to have a surgery. And so I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that piece of information. And because that was the only option that they really gave me, I have been neglecting this until I saw something of yours on Facebook, and I decided I would reach out. I was like, oh wow, okay. Well, that makes sense. And she's like, but at this point, I'm like so freaked out because every morning I wake up, I put my foot on the floor, and it feels like somebody is slicing my foot open. I just don't know what this means, and it's causing a whole lot of anxiety. I'm very afraid that something very bad is wrong with my foot, and I don't know if it's ever gonna get better. I don't know if I'm gonna be dealing with this forever. I like working out. I like going shopping with my friends. I like being able to go to the park and ride bikes with my kids, and right now I can't do any of those things. I can barely manage to cook. So I'm just very nervous as to what you're going to tell me today. And that was basically how we started the eval. And so I was able to, I looked at her foot and we moved things around and bent things and stretched things and all sorts of craziness. Just kidding. But I looked at her ankle. I watched how she walked. And I was able to look at things in her hip, her knee, her ankle, just to see how everything was working together and to see where the problem was. And as I suspected, she was having she had strained her calf muscle. And that is a muscle that runs from the back of your knee and actually attaches underneath your heel. But a lot of times you'll have that pain if you do have a strain, and that pain will be anywhere along what people think of as their Achilles. So like really close to the ankle bone or not the ankle bone, the heel bone, heel bone, or even just above it. And that's where most people get it. And it is worse in the morning. It does somewhat respond to ice, but because you're constantly stressing it out typically, the ice only helps temporarily. So, and that's what we're gonna go over now. So the calf runs from your back of your knee all the way underneath your heel. And your foot, actually, a lot of people have heard of the plantar fasciitis, of plantar fasciitis. That is because there's fascia on the bottom of your foot that's supposed to help with the structure. And so there's a big correlation. So they work very closely together with your Achilles. If you're, a lot of people pronate, right? So if you overpronate and you have a tendency to have a very flexible foot, it allows your calf to get very stiff because it doesn't have to be as flexible. I'm going to have some pictures of this up to go along with this because it's a little confusing to hear. But basically, if your calf muscle is not, doesn't have the appropriate length to allow you to walk, to the range of motion to walk, then you're constantly irritating it. It's like being in the splits and being told you have to go a little bit further every day, and it wears down that poor muscle and it causes it to spasm, causes it to develop inflammation. Eventually you'll get something called tendinitis or tendinosis because it's just overworked purely from the aspect even of just having limited range of motion or limited length. And so when we went over that and I was able to show her on her own foot what was happening, and so she could see it, she realized that it was mechanical and that this was something that we could completely fix. And so when she left the evaluation, you could almost visibly see the weight come off of her shoulders. She even sent me a message a few days later saying how much better she already felt just understanding what was going on and that there was a plan going forward. So fast forward a couple weeks, she had really good range of motion in her ankle. She was feeling so much better. She started back. She was able to do all of her household chores. She was able to stand all the way through her day. She was able to stand up and sit down without having pain. And as we continued to work a few more weeks, we got her strong enough that she's back at her gym routine. She doesn't even have to do the bike. She's back to running and she's back to her aerobics classes that she so much enjoyed. And so in just a few months, we went from completely just barely making it through her day, just barely making it through the minimum things that you have to do to run a house, back to running. And she is so much happier and she doesn't have to worry about what's going on with her body. She doesn't have to feel like she's trapped or that she's older than she is and that this is just how life is going to be from now on. So if this is the type of care that you're looking for, I offer 2 ways to get a hold of my clinic. So I offer we'll call you, right? Because sometimes it's hard to find time to call a clinic. So we'll call you, but if you fill out this form, it just makes it easier for us to contact you at times that are appropriate. So some people are busy at different times, so we have blocks of time that we suggest that you fill out. And some people would prefer to come and meet in person. I'm also more than willing to do that. So I offer free discovery visits. Now, there are limited numbers of those. I can only save so many spaces per month for these free visits, but I do find that there is a huge value in people being able to come in, meet me, we talk for 20 minutes, maybe we do a little bit of a movement assessment just to make sure that I can really do what I'm telling you I can do and make sure that you're comfortable with that before we move forward. But those are kind of the 2 big offers that I'm offering right now. Pick whichever one works best for you. And I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.